Welcome back, guys. It's your boy the Ace, back with another Flipper special. Today we're going to look at Bluetooth Low Energy, or BLE. Now, a FAP appeared on the market with this, and I found it quite interesting, not only from what it can do, but from a theoretical level as well. Anyone who already knows HT in the channel, we know we like to dive deep into the tech and give due diligence and shout outs where needed. So big up to the FC community. Now with BLE, it has been used as one of the cornerstones in modern wireless communication. Now, I'm going to dive into what Apple's implementation of BLE is, its kind of evolution and vulnerabilities that have emerged on market. Now, the story of BLE on Apple devices begins in that early 2010 era. While Bluetooth, and I've covered this already in depth in my other Bluetooth video, has been around for a while, its power is very hungry, and the nature of this hunger for the power becomes problematic for the battery operated devices it runs on. Now, BLE, a power efficient alternative, is designed for short bursts of data transfer, which makes it perfect for the new age of wearable tech, smart home devices, and so on. Having picked up on this adaptability, Apple was quick to adopt BLE and its integration into their ecosystem from early releases from iOS 5 and so on. Now, at its core, BLE operates on a protocol stack like many other Bluetooth protocols. However, from a generic access point profile or gap, there governs connectivity. To the generic attribute profile, or the GAT, this defines data structure. Each layer has its own purpose and its potential weak point. Now, considering the pairing process, BLE offers multiple methods like just work and passkey entry. While this is convenient, these can be susceptible to attacks such as man in the middle if not implemented with additional security measures. For instance, without proper encryption or authentication, an attacker can eavesdrop on a BLE communication, potentially gaining access to sensitive data, and so on. Now, therein lies the issue at hand, because for me, the issue comes when it's advertising packets. Now, these packets, which devices use to announce their presence, can be exploited for tracking purposes, revealing user location, GP metrics, behavior, and so on. BLE operates on 40 channels, 3 of which are dedicated advertising channels. Now, attackers can exploit these channels the same way you could exploit channels in an ARP attack or in a wireless attack, using techniques like channel mapping, sniffing, to intercept and potentially manipulate data. It's at this point that replay attacks play another concern. Here, attackers could capture valid data transmissions and replay them later. Without proper countermeasures like sequence number checks or time-based authentication, devices can be fooled by these malicious replays. Now, it's not to say that Apple are unaware of these vulnerabilities. They have been very proactive. However, their BML implementation on iOS and Mac includes robust encryption and is obviously going to be patched and updated quite regularly. But the landscape for cyber threats is ever evolving. You kind of got this cat and mouse dynamic happening all the time here. Now, I've used tools like Ubertooth in the past, which allows for sophisticated BLE sniffing. Now, if you combine this with another tool like Wireshark, you'll be able to dissect BLE packets quite easily if you know what you're looking for and search for vulnerabilities and exploits. Now, every BLE packet from its preamble all the way to the CRC is a potential entry point. That's one thing you need to understand. The address field, for instance, can sometimes be reverse engineered to track devices unless it's randomized periodically, then you're kind of in trouble there. Even connection parameters like the connection intervals and the slave latency, while essential for efficient communication, can also be manipulated. An attacker might force frequent reconnections, draining battery, device lifetime, etc. There's even the threat of jamming when it comes to BLE. You could flood the 2.4 gigahertz ISM band that BLE operates on, and attacker could essentially disrupt communications, rendering the device almost useless, just spamming it to death almost. Now, Apple's response to these challenges is multifaceted, of course. Beyond the software updates and the patches they release, there's also push hardware level device defenses. For me, it's always been that dance between vulnerability discovery, patching, and safe use of continual usage. It's a testament to that dynamic nature of technology and the collective effort to keep it secure. Now let's look at a live demo of this using the Flipper Zero and the new FAP that's come out for this. Now the Apple BLE spam FAP is an interesting one, and big shout out to WillJL and Ecto1A for producing this FAP file. It's available in Extreme and Rogue Master and probably Unleashed by now, but credit needs to be due to these guys with their hard work and discovery in using the structured docs for near action IDs, their proximity pair IDs, their AirTag IDs. Extremely good work, exemplary guys, well done on this one. So let's look at what this actually looks like in a live demo. Right, as you can see, I have Rogue Master running in the background, and I have my device. So if we go into apps, Bluetooth, we can then go into Apple BLE spam. Now from here, we do have a help section, and this will give you all the documentation for what this device is actually doing. Now, first of all, the first thing you have to consider with this is distance. Now, BLE by nature doesn't work in far ranges, so you have to consider which attack you're going to use and the distance in which is applicable. So next we have BLE spam delay is time between the attack attempt, which is the top right, and keep it in 20 milliseconds for best results. Now some apps interfere with the attack. Stay on the home screen for best results. Okay, next we have distance is limited. Attacks work under 1 meter, but a few are marked as long range. Now I'm sure this could be increased if you used a long range antenna of some kind on the Flipper Zero. I'm yet to actually demo that. Next we have proximity pair, which is an attack that keeps spamming but works at very close range. Nearby actions, which work one at a time, then need to lock and unlock the phone. Next we have random attack. Now, if I hit start on here, we're going to see something quite interesting. Now, as you saw there, it's essentially doing what it says it's doing. It's a random attack, and you can see it's going to randomize the type of attack that I'm using. And this says spam shuffle nearby actions. So it could be any display really that's going to happen here. Now here, that was an Apple keyboard remote. Next we are going to have an Apple TV keyboard notification. Now you can see these spams are just system notifications using that BLE protocol. Now you can here's another one. Let's say Apple TV autofill. There we go. There's another one. Now let's see. Join this Apple TV. Kind of want a bigger notification. All right, that one is not working. Let's try one of the bigger ones, like an AirPod Pro, for example. There you have it. Nice big notification to connect some AirPod Pro. So if we did connect, what would happen? Can't really interface with it too much, but nonetheless, it's just spamming You can see here every 20 milliseconds it is sending that notification out. And it's also auto-closing after that 20 milliseconds. So it'll just keep doing it, which is quite cool. Next we have beat solo. We could try that one next. So if we close that, there we have it. Overall, very good application. Like I said, if Bluetooth was not on device, that's one way you could protect. You can see how annoying this could be now. That's cool. I really like that. Now you could possibly even make this a lower range and it will just keep spamming it. I love that. Alright, that's where I'm going to end that. You kind of get the gist of what this is doing. Now, as BLE continues to shape our interconnected world, even from the Mac perspective, the journey of understanding and adapting and safeguarding is one we all kind of have to know about. This duality, as I mentioned, the constant tug of war between attack and defenders drive not only the evolution of BLE security, but cyber in general. Each side propels one another for greater heights. Now, obviously, Flipper Zero is an open source community, and for me, it's one of the shining beacons for collaboration. Tools like this we just saw by WillJL and Ecto1A just goes to show how much the developers are working in the background, not only to bring great work to the forefront, but also to collectively pool knowledge and contribute to the security ecosystem. Devices like Flipper Zero are equipped with capability to intercept, analyze, and potentially spoof BLE communications, as we saw, and this can be a powerful tool in the hands of security researchers. Now, while Apple has been proactive in patching known vulnerabilities in its BLE implementation, the dynamic nature of cybersecurity means that tools like Flipper Zero will always pose a potential threat. It underscores the importance of continual research, in my eyes, user awareness, and timely updates, ensuring security for wireless communication. From a user perspective, they're not powerless either when it comes to this threat. Simple actions like turning off Bluetooth when it's not in use or avoiding pairing with unknown devices can significantly reduce the risk footprint. That was the end of today's episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, stay safe in the cyberspace, and peace out.